Hello Juicers, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today is just an impromptu pop-up video. It's just to show you a bit of state of play on the Airfix 54mm collector series Polish Lancer, first Lancers of the Guard, 1815. So it says on the box. It's been a while, a long while, you know. I drifted. I don't know why, because I was really enjoying it, and then other subjects come up and I just drift out again. So I haven't done anything. If you probably don't even remember, it's been that long, but I went to town thinning the plastic on the lance, the pennant, and you know, it is what it is. It's not overly bad, but the plastic lance itself really isn't fit for purpose. It just droops. You know, it really is. It's like a rubber one. So I'm going to have to bite the bullet and replace that with a piece of rod of some description, metal rod, and make a foil pennant. Flatten out either put the point of the lance into the rod, or make one up completely from scratch. I haven't got a lot done. It's just to show you that I have finally started working on the figure itself. But before we do that, I can't remember if I'd showed you this or not, the Shabraque I'd done. Forget what you see here colour wise, I'm completely changing it apart from the ticking. I put ticking underneath here, that's like the striped, blue striped cloth. There was lots of variations. You had the ticking, you had just a Hessian, so like sandbag type material underneath, and I think occasionally they may have had the black, almost like a rubberized, not rubberized, like the oil skin that they use, maybe. I can't honestly, it's been a while since I've looked it up. I don't think I'm going to get much better light than that. Oh come on Gav, find something to point with. I don't like using these. In fact, actually, hang on guys while I get myself a toothpick, because at least that's softer when it touches paint, unlike my clay shaper pin that I was about to use. I won't go into colours on like the crimson type pinky stuff for the moment, because it may change very slightly. The blue is definitely going to change because I've using a completely different colour. I was looking at some reenactors, and I understand that reenactors sometimes only put on their uniforms for one Saturday or one Sunday, or or a weekend every once a month type of thing. So they're not going to get the look of the faded look. Right guys, I'm going to talk a bit louder. You may hear the dog barking somewhere. In one of the neighbours at the back of ours has got one of these dogs that doesn't come up for air. So yeah, I am changing the colours over on this complete whole Shabraque. It's a shame really, but I'm not happy with that, so that's going to get redone, I say, apart from the base. Yes, I probably will be putting the blue further up here as well. But I just wanted to show you that we had got progress on that. if it's only going to be reworked. This is the figure at the moment. Can we get in any closer? So the colours I'm using I think this is for my personal taste, is a lot more what I was looking for. So the black is still being worked on the leather. I just put some shading on it late last night just to see what I thought of it, because I like to show the leather slightly worn. These buttons aren't for show, they are overalls, and they would unbutton them and you could obviously just step straight in and out of them. Sometimes they would always use leather, well not always, sometimes they'd use leather, occasionally they'd also use canvas if leather was in short supply. So as you can see, we've not done anything with the arms yet. The arms, the reason I decided to put this video up now is because I've really, apart from these areas here, I've really only got the arms really to go. Now what I do is I put a sketch down, as I've told you guys before. So the colours, let's put him back there for a minute. In fact, let's put him to one side so camera focuses. I'm going to show you the two because the other one's black, and you don't really need to see black, do you? So this is the main colour we're using. It's called Imperial Blue from AK. It's quite, as you can see, a vibrant colour. I believe that's their fit. Does it say figures? I believe the orange one might be for figures. They supposedly have different. I don't really bother with any of that guff, to be honest with you. I just pick the colour I want. But when you're doing Napoleonic uniforms or uniforms of the Victorian Edwardian period, especially if they're British or European, you often need some quite vibrant colours. So what I do is I put some on my wet palette, and then I add probably about 8 parts, well, probably even 9 parts of this and 1 part black in it, and then that goes into darker areas. I'm trying to find some on this guy. Come on, Gav. I'm not being very successful here, but in the, you know what I'm talking about, in the corners here. Corners. Folds of the cloth might be a better word, Gav. Anything like that. That dog's put me off outside. It's a problem when you've got a smashed head, things like that, it trips my head. And obviously underneath the, I won't say underneath, but you know, just on the leading edge there, just underneath, if you can get to it, to put some darker shadow areas in, which will be enhanced later on when I start finishing up on the painting. And then I'll just stipple. I'll stipple away for England. And this is the worn out teeny tiny brush that where are we, teeny tiny brush? There we go. That's what I use for stippling. Wipe it off on a piece of kitchen towel very gently. There's not much paint left on the top, but it will still pool if you're not careful. I was really sloppy. I hardly got any paint left when I was doing the sketching, and I've got way too much violet in that, which I'm about to come on to. So in the crevices of my sketch, I put, so there's some there, I put some 8 parts of this with, or 9 parts, try 9 first, with a dab of black in it. You don't want it absolutely black so it almost turns out like this. You know, you need it. There wasn't a lot of, it's quite, I leave it quite thinned out, so the coverage isn't massive. It's really just to show me where I want to go, where I want to put highlights and what we call mid-tones, so the mid areas between the highlights and the shadow areas. So then the main mid-tone, so all this here, and a lot of the dots, as you can see around here, is the same Imperial Blue. Obviously I'm not changing my colour at all on the blue, but this stays throughout. But I add some violet red. You could try some just plain violet or whatever, but I quite liked, I was just experimenting with different colours. This is a Vallejo colour. I don't use a great deal of it, which is why it's quite old, but it's been invaluable for this. Just takes the edge off this vibrancy and gives you like a mid-tone. So you can see there it would run out on the mix there. I hadn't mixed it decently enough, and there's more there's no problem with that. The stippling will take all that away, but you can see the violet's a bit too heavy there. But you can just see the colour. If I'd go like that, you can just see the violets very slightly in the blue there. And then I will stipple into the shadow areas. You can just see the little stipple marks in the dark areas. This, by the way, isn't obviously finished yet, but I'll stipple into those shadow areas. If I think it's not looking dark enough, I'll put some of that shadow colour and re-stipple it in. It's just literally a million dots, and you are joining up the dots. This isn't completely finished down here yet. I just wanted to get an overall, I like to get an overall look of what it's going to look like and then go, you know, heavier in. And I also wasn't sure how far this black was going to go up. I'm probably going to increase that black to this edge here. Again, that was a late thing last night. I know there was some black there as well. I need to sort that out. But all this is a work in progress. It's got a fair bit to go yet, but I just wanted to show you that it is progressing at last. I got the feeling to crack on with the Lancer, and hey presto, I'm dotting for England or the UK or wherever you are. But yeah, it's just stipple, stipple, stipple all over the place. Gives you a bit of texture. If these were the normal trousers that they wore, you'd probably that would match up more. Because these are overalls, I believe, although from what I was reading on somebody's written like a monograph on it, really gone to town on it, and put in dates and sources and everything. They were saying after the peninsula, because some of these served in the peninsula in Spain, they actually the material, I thought it would have been more of a linen-y, canvasy type thing, but they were saying it was a soft. They did give the French name for it, but it was like a softer material. So I thought, oh well, I can still go ahead with giving this a more of a dotty texture to show that fluffiness, if that makes sense. It's probably not, but you know what I mean. And then this will be crimson down here. I believe I've seen some. There was somebody was trying to sell some reenactors ones, and they look weird because they've got no buttons down here, and you're thinking, well, these are not. I don't know if these are. Oh, these probably look as if they're attached around the boots, but sometimes they'd also screw them in, and you're just thinking, if you don't have buttons to undo, how in hell are you going to get your boots with with these on? And I know you're just saying, well, wouldn't you take your boots off first? Well, yeah, you do, but I know that we normally would do. But if you're in the field in that, I'd have thought you just, with the overalls, you just boom, 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 wrap them on and you're away to go, because you've normally got your normal trousers underneath. So hopefully next time you see this guy, we'll have like the is it crimson? I can't remember what the pink is called, to be honest with you, off the top of my head. We'll call it pink, it's easier. But that'll be pink with a white outline, piping outline on it. I'll have pink down here. White strapping belts. It'll be off-white though. White fringed epaulettes. Pink. I can't remember the fancy name for the blooming shako now. We'll have to call it a shako. Like a goldy white metal sunburst there with the with a little white silver metal with the Napoleonic N in there. White flounders. It's these guys here. White plume. It should look really nice when he's done. But yeah, I just thought, as I say, I've got some glazing to go over the top of this as well, and it's not the done deal yet, but it's starting to get there. It's starting to look the part. Oh, and there'll be if you remember, and you probably don't, but they got these piping over the back and down the arms, and the ones down the arms were like they were just huge. It was like Hadrian's Wall. I almost regret now not taking it off the back, and I said I was going to paint them in on the arms, and I wish now I'd taken them off the back. But in amongst, they didn't seem to stand so proud on the back. So, oh well, it is what it is. I'm going to have pink turnbacks there. It's not pink. I know it's not pink, but I just can't think of the word. So yeah, we're starting to get some movement on that at last. I just thought, well, before I start where I'm getting the blue down, before I start on the arms, which is the last bit really, I believe. Oh no, I've got all the frontage to do as well. But it just gives you an idea of how I was going to go about it, and the colours. As I say, this imperial blue to me is looking at the reenactors ones is a fairly decent colour, as long as you darken it down in places. If you just put this on as a base coat, I believe you'd probably have to darken it in places, or you could, if you didn't want to do all them stipples, you could use the same paint mixes, or roughly, as I say, you don't have to stick to brands or stick to a particular, you just try out your colours. But that mixed with that, which would be, I'm no good with how much goes into what, but I would suppose I did probably 8 parts this and 2 parts this. Could have been 7 and 3, but you know, again, try less is more, as they say, because you don't want it too violet. I mean, the violet shows through there in different light conditions, and I'm happy with that. And that's what I was after, but I still do have to keep working in areas yet. As you can see, there's a lot around there that still needs doing. But what I'm trying to get away from is having a giant. It's not a War Games figure that I want to have like a triad on, where I'm just, you know, it's right in your face, the highlights, if that makes sense. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. As I say, you know, I'm really that isn't that, so that's got to change. Shame, really. Oh well, that work gone for nothing. But yeah, that's just how it is, you know, because the Shabriquet would probably be like a softer texture as well, from the ones I've got. I've got some of them. I'm not sure if it's Histoire collections or not, but they're the Euro Militaire. They're different books with photographs of reenactors. The only problem I'd say is like the Roman one. I think I showed you the reds and that. Whoever did the printing of them, they didn't seem to get the contrasts right when they were doing the photographs, reprinting the photographs, I believe. But the Napoleonic one, it does give you some good idea of the textures, particularly of the different materials. So yeah, hopefully, as long as I don't get too distracted, says the guy with more on his bench. And I mean, sorry about the state of my nails. I was spraying the Jeep yesterday with lacquer paint, and do you think I could get out my fingernails afterwards? Yeah, the Jeep's got a lacquer. The 1 in 35 Jeep's got a black lacquer down over it. Went to get me things out today to give it a olive drab, only to find out I got no olive drab. What I thought was olive drab wasn't. So Scale Model Shop is sending me some up. So that's on hold slightly. Probably won't get now sprayed until the following week. I've gone and bought yet another figure, which I'll show you at some stage when it comes and whatever. Nothing to do with Napoleonics or anything, but a large scale figure. Biggest figure I've actually got, or when it comes. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I was going to pick him up, but he's almost done, and I might as well just leave him to a final reveal. I've got the 95th Rifles complete, bar his white piping, and the base. I puttied the base yesterday, and I will be doing that tomorrow, building the base and doing the piping, doing any little touch-ups on him that need doing. I've already got the voltigeur out, so here we've got a 28mm figure next to sorry, it's not a 28mm figure. You're thinking, blooming heck, Gav. No. 54. No, he's not even 54, is he? He's 40mm. Let's go. Right, 40mm figure. I know I'm not, you know, he's not exactly. That's 54. That's a 40mm. French voltigeur. He's going to be done as Swiss. I don't know which regiment yet, but I fancy doing a Swiss one. So he'll actually have a red jacket rather than the blue or the white. And white trousers, probably. I might change them for something else. And then we'll do that light infantry sergeant last. But let's not get distracted, Gav. What, by the hot rod, the Jeep, the Dragonfly that hasn't got any farther forward. Oh, well, we'll go on, won't we? 15 mils, let's not forget the 15 mil German project as well. But for now, we're running with this one. Or riding with him, you know, take your pick. So look after yourselves, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch each other soon on another of one of Gav's many videos. Thanks for stopping by.